Hey everybody, Andy Kvernen here with another Cornerstone Connection Daily Devotional. I wonder, have you ever felt restless in your soul? Maybe you felt like you were bound for something great, but you just weren't quite getting there and you were frustrated. When I was a young man, I was just recalling to a friend here this week some of my early days in ministry, and I had some restlessness in my soul at different times, and one of those times was just in my early 20s, and I was watching God using the worship movement in our nation to really draw people to Him, and I gotten to experience that some as a college student, and I was watching Him use people like Chris Tomlin and Matt Redman and David Crowder to really spring up a passion in young people's souls for God's glory and God's greatness. And I was motivated by that. I was encouraged by that. And as I studied music and got into worship ministry as a career, as a ministry path, I remember thinking, I wonder if God would ever use me like He uses Chris Tomlin or like He uses Matt Redman or one of these guys. And I sort of had this burning in my soul for being used by God in that kind of a way. And at the same time, I was in a community that was fairly large and had another guy in town that started kind of rising up in our midst as a gifted worship leader and a gifted musician and a person who loved Jesus very much. And I started to watch God use him in ways that I wanted to be used. And yet God was blessing his ministry in that way. And he actually ended up recording an album with a major label and gained some national notoriety as a worship leader and still has it in many ways. And I remember thinking, God, what's up with that? Why wouldn't you use me in that way? I've been faithful. I've been working hard. I've been doing what I do. And why wouldn't you use me to bless people like you're using him? And I was a little bit jealous. And it reminds me of where we're at in the book of 1 Corinthians. And here are a group of people that are young in their faith. Perhaps they're burning in their soul, but also perhaps they're compromising in different areas, which shows up. But you get this sense in chapter 6 and 7 that the people are restless, and it shows up in taking lawsuits out against others, and it shows up in the concept of marriage, and they're burning sexually, but they're expressing that in some really awful ways. And so Paul kind of calls them on it, and he reminds them, hey, for some of you it's a gift to remain single, and for others of you, when you're burning like this, you should marry, but you should stay within that marriage, and you should be generous within that marriage to each other as a couple. And here we come to the middle of chapter 7, and I want to read to you a passage that I think pertains to what we're saying here. It says in 1 Corinthians 7, verse 17, "Only let each person lead the life the Lord has assigned to him, and to which God has called him. This is my rule in all the churches." What's Paul saying here? He's saying, look, God's going to use each of us in different ways. And in just a few chapters later, in 1 Corinthians 12, he's going to talk about spiritual gifts. God gives each of us different spiritual gifts. Friends, God gives each of us different ministries. He gives each of us different jobs, different families, different places to live. And what Paul is saying and what he's arguing for here in 1 Corinthians is, look, accept what God gives you. Don't try to go out and make something happen that isn't of God. Rest with God and shine for God wherever He has you. And you fast forward here to verse 24. He says, "So brothers, in whatever condition each was called, there let him remain with God." Remain with God wherever you are. Friends, I would argue to you, it's not so much about where you are as it is who you're with. And my question for you today is, are you with Jesus? Are you with God? Are you remaining in Him, as Jesus talks about in John 15? Are you abiding in Him? Because it's only by abiding in Him that you'll bear fruit. Friends, I've been challenged with a passage from Jeremiah 17 that says, "Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord, whose trust is in the Lord. He's like a tree planted by water that sends out its roots by the stream. And when the heat comes, he does not fear, for its leaves remain green. And in the year of drought, he's not anxious, for he does not cease to bear fruit." Friends, let's worry less about where we are or where we're going. And let's worry more, and I don't mean worry, but let's consider more who we're with. Not so much where we are, where we're going, but who we're with. Friends, our God wants to be with us, and that's amazing. Rest in God today. Let God shape your heart. Let God shape your mind and your soul. And if that's hard for you to do, just take a moment, just push pause on this and lift your eyes to the heavens, maybe literally, maybe figuratively, and say to God, God, help me to trust in you today. Help me to be content with you today. Let me remain with you. Friends, in whatever condition you're called, chapter 7, verse 24, there remain with God. Hey friends, if you're tuning into the Cornerstone Connection and you're maybe not a part of our Sunday morning fellowship or those kinds of things, let me just invite you, if you're in the Marshfield area, come this fall. We've got some great things going on. We've got a thing called Sunday Plus, where we're going to invite people into some communities to learn and grow in discipleship and in parenting. I'm really excited about that. If you got kids, dig in. Kids Rock on Tuesday nights, Sunday mornings. Our student ministries are serving so well and raising up kids that love Jesus on Wednesday nights. And there's all kinds of ways, growth groups, to be involved. Let's grow together this year. Let me invite you to come to Cornerstone if you're not here already. And God bless you, friends. Have a great day. And Lord willing, we'll see you again soon on the Cornerstone Connection.